Hey guys, True Grits Get Bulletproof Saws and BlueSaws.com. I was going to make my next cut on these cookies, and that 52 wasn't oiling like it should. Here's the thing. When I first put it on, it was puking oil on it. Now, it's not oiling. I look, the oiler hole doesn't appear to be far enough back, or was it far enough forward? Whichever, it looks like it's not lining up. It lined up before, I don't know. So I got to look at it harder because, again, I'd like to be able to run that bar on pretty much any saw. So I said, you know what? I really didn't give that double-ended, I don't even know how long that bar is, and I don't know. Oh, yeah, I do have a tape measure. I really don't. I thought it was going to be a 36. When I got it, it definitely wasn't a 36. I don't know. I'll call it a 42, maybe, ish. I don't know. I'll call it a 42. So it should just get through this piece of wood. And I'll give it a better try. It's a 404 bar, so I went and I got the adapter. We have the adapters to take a 404 from 14 millimeter down to 9 millimeter. That adapter worked perfect on here, on the 3120. Then I forgot the rim sprocket because I was about to run 404 chain on a 3/8 rim, which it'll work, just not real good. You'll get a thumping noise, but you will spin it. You'll probably ruin the sprocket because the 404 and the 3/8 they're a little bit different. So, but in a pinch, I wouldn't tell you to do this. Don't do this. But you could run a 3/8 sprocket and it might get you by if you were in, I can't imagine the pinch you'd have to be in the middle of the wilderness and it was all you had. But I swapped the 404 sprocket on there. I tightened up the clutch. I hit the brake, hit the throttle, tightened it up as much as it needs to be tight. So I'll take a pass with this 404. Oh, I just ran it and idled it. And on the helper handle here, I see it's coated with oil. So obviously I'm getting plenty of oil. Why it's not dripping down the bar like it did on the other one, I don't know. Probably should have checked this, the helper handle. Oh geez, do I need a special? Yeah, and I need a special wrench for that. So we'll just go for it. Why that nut isn't scrunch size on there is beyond me, and I'm not sure. We have a couple different types of brands of helper handle. I believe that's a Granberg, and I don't know why that nut wouldn't be the right size. Usually Granberg's pretty good with that stuff. I'm just gonna start it and make my next cut and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I got the chain on right, guys. Okay guys, all I wanted to do was throttle that up a little bit, hold that oiler, turbo oiler thing in, and see how much oil was going to spray in there, because I was curious. I do see it running down the bar. I'm unsure. I imagine it's enough oil without holding that in. If it's only a 42-inch bar, more oil is always better to me. So I probably don't even need to touch the little lever, but I'm playing with it, just seeing. I thought the 404 cut probably faster than the 3/8, but that's a full comp chain. It is, I didn't realize what it was. It's actually a semi-chisel ripping chain. And I could feel the resistance of the cutters more. I don't think I'm spinning the chain nearly as fast as I was with the little 3/8 skip, but it pulled it absolutely fine. You saw I got my dogs hung up and wedged in the wood once or twice. It was pulling pretty decent, but now's here where we're going to see some of the differences between a smaller chain with far fewer cutters to a larger chain with more cutters. But what I'll also say is, being as this is a semi-chisel chain, we could argue semi-chisel versus full chisel all day long, rip versus non-rip. I've used all of it milling. I prefer speed of a chisel chain, and I generally don't need them down at 10 degrees, and I'll get very smooth cuts. That should be about as smooth of a chain as I could get cutting, but again, I'm bucking essentially here. I'm not ripping, so I'm using a ripping chain to buck. Not that that wasn't a ripping, but that's at 18 degrees, so it has a little more aggression, and it is a chisel chain, so it has a point. Well, I wonder what it looks like. Hopefully it's as nice as the first one there. The other thing I didn't accommodate for as I'm doing this, when you don't have a helper handle on the tip of the bar, it's real easy to drag the tip of the bar back through the cut. So luckily I put this up on some sticks that I could get down enough, because a lot of times I'm doing this right on the dirt, and that wouldn't have worked too well with the helper handle. I'd have had to grab another saw and finish that bottom of the cut with, you know, a small saw with a 24-inch bar or something. Just little things to think of. And that's pretty nice too. Let's see if we get some water on it and see what it looks like. You guys probably aren't as interested in what wood looks like after you mill it or cut it or whatever, but this is pretty much what got me into really doing saws, was chainsaw milling and being able to do woodwork and make pretty stuff. Although it does seem like the saws have taken over my life. Bring you in. That's beautiful wood, actually. And I think that cut was a good amount smoother. I'll pause you and walk you over this time. I think that's some darn pretty wood. Now, for guys who don't know, and I don't know if I can show it to you better on one or the other, maybe this one's easier for me. This spalting here, that's what I love. And this wood's not really soft, but it starts rotting. That's what it is. And those black lines, and you'll get light tan and different colors in it. And that spalting is, as it's starting to rush, it's some kind of fungus working its way through the wood. But that's my favorite part about milling, is getting spalted wood. I live for that. And as much as, you know, this doesn't have a ton of it, has a little bit, I like when they're fully covered, like a spider web covering the whole thing. But at that point, you're very dangerously close to it being rotted, and you may have to use wood hardener to make it work. And pause you. Well guys, I'll finish this up now. That's the last video of this I'm doing. It gets repetitive and boring for you. Now, before anybody else says anything, and I've said it in the other videos, but in case you didn't watch them, we're known for farmer tech stuff. We run every clone saw. We've ran clones that haven't even been released in this country yet. because we want to see what's out there. So we like to compare Neotech, Farmertech, and especially with parts. We have two vendors essentially for saws, for clone saws. Now we have three vendors, but that's another story. Actually, we might have four vendors. Anyhow, but for parts, we have multiple vendors, and what we try to do is bring the best of breed to the store, and it's 100% because I'm lazy and I don't like to have complaints. So 5 different shops, 5 different companies, manufacturers are making oilers, cylinders. I don't care what the part is. I'm going to buy 1 of each, or 5 of each usually, 10 of each. Test them out, see which one I like the best, and I'm going to go with that company. And that's all we're doing here. We're going to get a Farmertech 3120 in so we can compare it. We didn't jump in early on the bandwagon, just a lot going on, and we probably should have. And we got the 2511s to test out and give you guys some ideas, but that's what we do. So we're somewhat vendor agnostic. I mean, we do love a lot of the Farmertech stuff, but I know Neotech has some great little saws out there. Their, what was it, the 6800 has been, I have videos from 3 years ago with the original, real good 6800s, and it was a good, inexpensive saw. So that's it. So don't get on me about Neotech versus Farmertech. I'm agnostic. All I care about is who makes the best product with the least problems, power, reliability, all of those kind of things. And I'll share with you what I like and I don't like. So far, I like a lot about that saw, and I'll make a specific video going through the pluses and minuses on it. That's it. True Grit Scott, Bulletproof Saws and BlueSaws.com. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Share us with your friends.